This week on Healthy Living, we look at epilepsy, a common neurological condition worldwide. A 32-year-old nurse in Uganda has died of Ebola, and health authorities are on high alert. And a Pittsburgh resident reflects on his decades-long fight with cancer. We'll have these stories and more in this edition of Healthy Living. Hello, I'm Linor Moudou. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Healthy Living. Epilepsy is a chronic neurological condition of the brain that causes recurring seizures. The seizures are sometimes accompanied by loss of consciousness and uncontrolled bowel or bladder function. The World Health Organization says around 50 million people worldwide have epilepsy, and nearly 80% of them live in low and middle-income countries. Let's go to Malawi, where 55-year-old Harry Sengano has battled stigma and misconceptions for the past 33 years that he has lived with epilepsy. Reporter Chimwemwe Padata brings us his story.
An accountant by profession and employed in the civil service, Harry Sengano considers epilepsy like any other disease. Sengano, a 55-year-old father of 4 children, was not born epileptic. He was diagnosed with the disease the past 33 years. At the onset, close relations attributed his condition to superstition.
From my own knowledge, from my own belief, it's not because of my workmates. No, my relatives, not at all. Epilepsy started in my body because of perpetual drunkenness.
Sengano's epilepsy journey and experience with stigma and discrimination has led him to become a champion of change.
I just want to tell them to strictly follow what they are told to do. If they find any problem, they have to be free. There are certain people, because of epilepsy, they say, I don't know epilepsy. I can't talk to somebody. I don't know about epilepsy. It's not supposed to be like that.
Epilepsy can develop silent childbirth when children have suffered trauma during delivery, says Dorothy Ngoma, a seasoned health professional and safe motherhood advocate.
I have seen this, and over time you follow these babies who had delayed deliveries. They tend to get epilepsy. It's although some people may believe to say if you have somebody with epilepsy in the family, maybe it's passed on from family to family, or sometimes they believe to say if they are having convulsions, don't be near them because you'll be affected if they fart or something like that. The air around them is infectious, which is wrong. It's not true.
International Bureau for Epilepsy, an advocacy and lobbying organization that fights for the rights of persons with epilepsy, has made inroads around awareness on epilepsy in 16 countries in Africa, including Malawi.
We decided to come up with several interventions. One, we have awareness programs that we support as an organization. Currently, we are supporting 6 countries within Africa where they have full-fledged programs around epilepsy.
A 2023 World Health Organization Country Disease Outlook report shows that non-communicable diseases, NCDs, are still a major health problem in Malawi. Malawi Ministry of Health says it has taken measures to respond to the high disease burden of the NCDs.
This is a non-communicable disease, and actually it's manageable. When one is taking medication religiously, people wouldn't even know that this one is epileptic. So we are developing so many messages, including those on epilepsy.
But even if patients like Sengano can control their seizures, stigma and discrimination against those who suffer from the disorder can always be contained. Dispelling misconceptions against this group should therefore be prioritized. Chimwemwe Padata, VOA News, Lilongwe, Malawi.
To what extent do you understand epilepsy, and how can patients receive more care in your community? Here are some reactions from Addis Ababa.
I feel like epilepsy is caused by too much stress. I believe the stress could be environmental, poor lifestyle, or childhood background. And when the stress is beyond one's capacity, it may cause epilepsy in some people. Many people relate the cause to religious practices or bad traditional practices. I saw people running away from the patients instead of helping them. That's what the society feels.
I see some people with epilepsy falling, and usually while they fell, I see something foamy coming out of their mouth. I also saw people using matchstick lights and blowing it near the patient's noses to wake them up. They also sprinkle water on the patient's face. That's how they usually recover. However, if you ask me what causes epilepsy, my answer is I don't know. Yet I have noticed some young people falling due to hunger too. So I know sometimes it might not be epilepsy, it could be diabetes or hunger.
Epilepsy is not new for me. I have a close friend whom I have grown up with living with the disease. So I take it lightly and with understanding. But society has a negative attitude towards it. People relate to it to hereditary or traditional practice. I see people who have little knowledge about the disease running away from the patients when the patients react. I saw people applying matchsticks and blowing it on patients. However, people are even afraid to do the smallest task of helping wake up the patient.
In rural parts of our country, people believe it is caused by a curse. I hear people argue that it is caused by heredity, curse, or natural cause. I know people who relate it to mental health, and the treatment usually is to help the patient sit elevated. Some people use matchstick smoke and make them smell it. Also, letting them get fresh air is helpful. If you ask my opinion, it's like every other disease and can be treated and healed.
I see public hospitals providing awareness of many diseases every morning. Epilepsy should be part of it.
There is no awareness about the disease, so there should be awareness arising programs.
Dr. Shantali Uwase is a general doctor at Precise Healthcare in Nairobi, Kenya. She sheds more light on epilepsy.
Epilepsy is a neurological disorder that presents with seizures, and usually what's happening is that the brain is having abnormal electrical activity, and that is why they seize. Usually it is recurrent. It happens more than one time, and it's unprovoked. We have two broad types: the focal seizures. Those ones originate from a specific part of the brain and also affect a specific part of the body. Then we have the other broad type, the generalized seizures, which also has different types under it. But commonly, I think I'll just talk about two. The tonic-clonic one, where they jerk and twitch at the same time. And then we have the absence seizures, where we have memory lapse, and sometimes you don't understand what is going on for a brief few seconds. Duration of the seizure depends. Sometimes it will go for 2 minutes, other times it will go for 5, others are prolonged depending on the cause. And the common causes we see infections, especially in children, childhood infections. We have brain injuries either due to a fall or stroke or something that will have trauma to the brain. And then we have other tumors, anatomical changes of the brain that can affect it and cause epilepsy. Drugs, especially in teenagers who are consuming excessive amounts of recreational drugs. Genetic predisposition, sometimes it's just something that runs in the family and there is no other cause. And then most often than not, actually, the cause is not even known. It just happens. There's no genetic predisposition. There is no known cause. There is no infection, but it is there. Stigma and that fear, and maybe relating it to witchcraft, or it's a taboo, you're not supposed to have a child like that, or it's like a punishment from God. So that inhibits management or proper treatment for these patients. And then our medical health services are also limited. So even if it's early, there's early presentation, sometimes parents don't take the children. Again, it comes down to traditional beliefs. Some believe that it's not a white man's disease to treat, it's traditionally managed, which normally interferes. So in epileptics, we advise for, first of all, adherence to your medication. Take your medication as prescribed, the frequency, the timing, and also visits to the doctor. So if you're not taking your medication, non-compliance is one major cause, one main cause, because they go through phases of denial, acceptance, all that after diagnosis.
Ugandan authorities on Monday began a clinical trial of a vaccine against the Sudan strain of Ebola that has killed one person in the outbreak declared last week. This is the first trial to assess the efficacy of a vaccine against the Sudan strain, according to the World Health Organization. More than 2,000 doses of a candidate vaccine against the Sudan strain are available. Health workers and others exposed to the Ebola strain are being targeted in the study, which began 4 days after Uganda announced the death of a nurse in the capital, Kampala. 2 more cases were confirmed on Monday in relatives of the first victim. At least 234 contacts in this outbreak have been identified, according to the Ministry of Health. Officials are investigating the source of the outbreak. Every year, the world commemorates World Cancer Day on February 4th to raise awareness and to strengthen actions towards improving access to prevention and care. Cancer touches millions of lives in countless ways. Attila Lee, a resident of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, has been battling cancer for decades. VOA's Jean-Louis Mafema shares his unique journey.
Attila Lee, a 62-year-old resident of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was diagnosed with stage 3, a Hodgkin's lymphoma, in 1975. At age 3, when his grandmother, who was giving him a bath, felt a lump in his right armpit.
My grandmother came to the United States to visit. She was bathing me. I was 3 years old, and found a lump in my right armpit. And next thing you know, they said, there's some lump here. You know how parents are, they just think it's nothing. And about 9 years later, I ended up getting Hodgkin's stage 3. I had a spleen removed, big surgery, ending up with chemo and radiation treatments.
In 1993, Attila suffered a relapse. He had to undergo 6 months of chemotherapy, but his ordeal is not over.
I had secondary cancers, rectal cancer 2013. I had surgery, chemo radiation treatments. And then later I had colon cancer 2020, stage 2 colon cancer. And they removed 8 inches of my left descending colon and it reattached. I don't let any health obstacles or any obstacles just put me down. The word is, I go through my obstacles that may knock me down, but it's not going to knock me out. So the attitude is, regardless of what stage of obstacles, whether it's health challenges or anything way of life of challenges, it's not to allow the situation knock you out. It's normal for all of us to be knocked down, as long as we don't get knocked out through any kind of negative or any challenges. Not give up.
After nearly 50 years of battling a disease that has claimed millions of lives, Attila remains determined to continue his routine of daily exercise, yoga, and meditation.
That's our show for today. For more health news, wellness tips, and medical breakthroughs, stay connected to Voice of America at voaafrica.com. You can follow me on X at Linoch Mudu. Until next time, stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.